Welcome to the sofa. I'm Sherry.
I'm Bonnie, and this is the Sisters Hallmark Sip and Chat podcast.
We're a couple of crown heads who love all things Hallmark. Welcome back to the sofa and our week 6 episode of Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas.
There were so many wonderful movies this weekend, we've split them up into 2 episodes. Part 1 is starting right now.
In this episode, we'll be sipping a slow cooker apple cider from the Hallmark Channel Countdown to Christmas. Celebrate the movie magic book. You can find the recipe and a link to buy the book on our website, sistersipandchat.ca. Head to Facebook and Instagram to see pictures of our creations. And this episode, we'll be chatting about the first 3 movies this week: A Season for Family, Holiday Road, and Christmas in Notting Hill.
Movie number 1, A Season for Family, starring Stacey Farber as Maddie and Brendan Penny as Paul. Wesley and Cody were adopted into different families, but when Wesley makes a Christmas wish to meet his biological brother, Christmas magic steps in and the 2 brothers meet each other without even knowing the connection. Their parents, Maddie and Paul, work hard to navigate the delicate situation while building their own romantic connection. Okay, so let's find out how this movie rates on our sofa rating system. But first, a quick explanation. Our custom sofa rating system includes a list of 20 Hallmark tropes broken down into 10 categories that will determine how Hallmark is this movie. You can download the list from our website, sistersipandchat.ca. So this movie earned 10 out of 20 sofas, and the categories are town holiday celebrations, location, 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 family and friends, big life changes, and Christmas magic.
Well, this was a lovely movie about the gift of adoption and the challenges that are also involved with this. It is understandable how some parents find telling their children that they're adopted is tough. But I love it when they let them know that they were chosen and therefore wanted deeply.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to choose our families, but when you adopt, you do. It was almost like a God wink moment. I love those movies when they do them.
Mm-hmm.
Twist of the boys being actual siblings.
Yeah, it was a really unique storyline, a real family first movie. The siblings were so sweet and nice to each other from the beginning before they even knew about their familiar connection, which is really cool. To me, that was a real dose of Christmas magic, or as you say, a God wink moment, bringing them together.
I agree. This is a true Christmas magic. And once again, families, it gets defined not only by blood, but by the love you share together.
It can be tricky to work with family, but we know that if you appreciate and respect each other's strengths and help them with their weaknesses, it can be a very rewarding experience. Maddie and her dad just needed to figure that out.
Yeah, the father-daughter relationship, it tends to be a tricky one, and they were a bit of a headstrong pair. That seems to be their biggest issue because, he was asking her and then she was like, well, I don't think so. Like, just get on with it. But it was lovely to see at the end that they all came together. However, I didn't know if in the end, because she was going to be the general manager, and that was part of what was stopping him from his ski contract, if maybe it was to be assumed that now he would get that ski contract.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. They didn't really wrap that up at the end. Hopefully, he was able to work out his business situation now that she was becoming general manager.
Exactly.
One of those unknowns, I guess we will never find out. To me, this movie was a case of the adults making things just more difficult for the kids because of just not being upfront about the truth. Finally, telling the truth was freeing for all of them and ended in a beautiful family celebration.
Movie number 2, Holiday Road, starring Sarah Canning as Dana and Warren Christie as Clay. A snowstorm strands a group of strangers all looking to head to Denver for Christmas. They decide to rent a van and drive together, and trouble, tears, and soul-searching truths ensue. The movie was inspired by true events. Let's find out how this movie rated on our sofa rating system. This movie earned 21 out of 20 sofas. The categories are town holiday celebrations, clash of the classes, location, 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 family and friends, unexpected hiccups, affairs of the heart, big life changes, Christmas magic, and strangers helping each other get where they needed to be and supporting one another.
This movie was a perfect mix of comedy and tragedy, and with an extremely satisfying ending. What can go wrong with a bunch of strangers in a van at the most stressful time of the year? You know, it was such a smart idea. And I loved all these little things they added. Decorating the van for Christmas was super extra, but I also loved it. I liked how the TikToker used that TikTok segments as like a documentary style, which allowed us as a viewer to get to know the characters on a deeper level and what they felt about Christmas. And then in the van, when they did that karaoke rap, that was hilarious. And the rendition of Amazing Grace was just touching and beautiful. I totally got choked up.
100% agree. To be honest, I actually thought this movie was going to be a bit of a dud, and I was not necessarily looking forward to see it. And it ended up being one of the best ones of the season so far. Because again, it's showing that families come in different forms, and it's not just blood, and that you can become so attached to a group of people that you've never met before just by having such an amazing experience with them and sharing, like you said, on a deeper level.
Yes, totally. A lot of heartfelt soul searching for the characters at the point in their life that they were at. I'm glad they inserted some Christmas celebrations in the middle. You know, the elf games looked like they were so fun.
Yeah.
They were pretty elaborate too. Like that was pretty intense. But in the middle of it all, the group were still dealing with their personal struggles, just like in real life. Just because someone is celebrating the holidays doesn't mean that they aren't still struggling with their own troubles.
Agree. Also, this was the second movie of the night that talked about adoption and the challenges that the parents and the child have. It was wonderful to see that the birth mom and the adopted mom were able to respect one another and their position within that young boy's life. And that was really good. But it was totally understandable why that mom was having panic attacks as they got closer. I mean, at
Yeah.
first we didn't know what it was about, but once that started to come together, that made a lot of sense. And it was really good how you talked earlier about the TikTok documentary, and they were able to say how her sharing her experience, not, you know, unbeknownst to her and not necessarily with her, allowance, did help others. So that was really kind
Yeah.
of cool too.
Yeah, other people just watching all the TikToks did get help from it, which was really kind of cool. You know, the ending where we see how they all helped each other and how they see the holidays and prioritize life and its troubles was, in my opinion, really well done. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of the season so far. And my favorite line was, if you connect your self-worth to what other people think, you'll never be truly happy, which I think
I
is very smart.
100% agree with your favorite line in the movie. 100%. You can see how when people depend too much on how others see them, they can run down the rabbit hole very quickly, and it can become near impossible to get out. But surrounding themselves with loving people who were there for them, it's the best medicine. I thought that was really good. And the thing that I felt, I mean, I love the movie. We cried. My husband cried. I cried. And that's a big deal when he's crying too, was the fact that at the end to realize this was based on a real life story. That really,
Yes, so based on real events. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great movie. I definitely cried.
I think you'd have to be almost heartless not to.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
That begrudging man was awesome.
Yeah, totally. Movie number 3, Christmas in Notting Hill, starring Sarah Ramos as Georgia and William Moseley as Graham. Georgia, a special needs teacher, heads to London to visit her sister and meet her sister's boyfriend. There she meets a famous soccer star, Graham Savoy, who's coming home to Notting Hill for Christmas. So let's find out how this rated on our SOFA rating system. And it got a pretty high score of 19 out of 20 SOFAs. And the categories are town holiday celebrations, clash of the classes, Here Comes the Bride, Location, 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 Family and Friends, Big Life Changes, Christmas Magic, and the charitable event was the nonprofit to help local children.
Well, unfortunately, this movie rated high on our sofa rating system, but not on my personal favorite list of Christmas movies. I actually thought that this storyline was very dry, and I didn't necessarily love the whole idea of how the characters worked together personally for me. I almost didn't watch
Yes.
it. And I'm glad that I did, but almost did.
Yeah, it was an interesting storyline, not super exciting. I do appreciate that Hallmark has really upped their quotient of foreign location for movies this year. I love seeing London dressed up for Christmas, and the credits said that it was also filmed in Ireland, which is cool. That the Americans didn't know what a Christmas cracker was, in my opinion, is a travesty. There's such a fun part of the dinner celebrations. Of course, I didn't know what the pantomime show was, so that was kind of cool to learn about. It was pretty elaborate. Like, I don't even know how those families do that. Do they rent that stage space? No clue. I really did like seeing the English Christmas customs. It makes you feel like you're experiencing it with them, even though you're just a viewer. So for me, those were the parts of the movie I did enjoy.
Well, that's good. I agree. Not knowing what Christmas crackers are when you're living in North America seems highly unlikely, but I guess some people didn't use them. But I agree. I did like learning about other cultures. And with my husband's family coming from England and Wales, some of these are things we are aware of and we enjoy them greatly. So that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm, for sure. While we were watching it, my husband was annoyed at how wishy-washy she was about her job or about her next opportunity. But I did get why she was having a hard time taking the leap. It's a tough decision, and I don't blame her for covering all her bases, but I get what he was saying, like she needed to make a decision.
And I get that making big life changes can be very hard. And they're both were facing some of them. Yet their big life changes didn't actually show that it would work for them to create a long lasting relationship. She's going to be traveling
Yeah,
all over the world. He didn't even
exactly.
determine at the end for sure. I mean, we did see that he played again, but we don't know what that exactly was going to look like for him. They were moving up. I do think that if everyone is staring at a man that you're with and taking photos and wanting his autograph, it's a bit of a trigger that he might be famous. So that part was a bit weird that it took her so long to ask questions. But
Yeah, for sure. I'm guessing Ted Lasso's and even Wrexham's documentary's success has something to do with having a movie set with a quote unquote footballer, which I enjoyed just, that part of it. But like, still, the movie was a bit too insta lovey for me. I think it was a sweet story and had some nice moments with their families, though.
yeah, I agree with your Ted Lasso and Wrexham references. However, I love both of those series, but I definitely wouldn't rate this one movie high.
No, I don't think the story was quite as solid as those two other stories
No.
are for sure. Okay, so our drink update, slow cooker apple cider. I love apple cider. This one has a bit of something different. The chai tea and some vanilla was a nice difference from a regular apple cider.
For me, the fact that he even said it in the name, slow cooker, I'm all about the speed, get her done, get it. This was this long process, but other than that, there we go. Good drink. This episode was brought to you by Hamish Community Services, opening doors by taking the dis out of disabilities. You can find out more information at hamish.ca.
Well, fellow Crownheads, we've come to the end of today's chat.
You can find all our episodes on your favorite podcast network.
And on our website, sistersipandchat.ca. Subscribe and never miss a chat session.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time.
And we'll save you a seat on the sofa.